wanna sleep in, cause I got something to prove. I gotta take what I hate and finally make a move. I think of you and all the shit you don't do.
Hey, this is Zach Pasquarello. Good, how are you? Now still a good time to talk? What you got going on? Yeah, so similar to you, I've been running a box truck for a long time now, and then I just made the transition in February, got myself a CDL tractor. So do you have specific questions, or do you just want me to kind of talk about what I did and how it worked for me, or what were you thinking? Yeah, so basically, so for you it's a little bit different because you've been driving your truck for the past 7 months. It sounds like you don't have really any experience with hiring a driver and kind of operating the business that way, right? So for me, that's how I got started. I got started with hiring a driver, having a box truck, and it was just really difficult for me to be profitable with the box truck and paying a driver. I know if you drive your box truck, you can make $1,500 to $2,000, $2,500 a week, no problem. But I was not doing that because I was paying my box truck driver to drive the truck. So basically, the reason I decided to switch from a box truck to a tractor was quite simply because I was looking at the numbers, and based on my cost per mile and based on the rate per mile I could get with a tractor versus a box truck, like the profit was just, like in one of my videos I talk about, literally 5 times more with the 53-foot van versus a box truck. So first and foremost, like before you make any decision, and I always talk about this, but I think it's really true and really important. Before you make any decision, just make sure you look at the numbers. Make sure you're running your cost per mile for your box truck right now, like how much you're making, and then based on the numbers you have, based on how much your truck costs, your insurance, what kind of rate per mile you're getting, just run those numbers with hiring a driver, like how much you think you'd pay him, whether it's 40 cents a mile, 25% of revenue, or however you're going to pay your driver. Run the cost per mile for the box truck, run the cost per mile for the tractor trailer. Like that's it. Like there is no guesswork. There is no I wonder if the tractor trailer is going to be profitable. Like there are no questions. It's all about the numbers. I mean, that's how it is for me, and I think that's just a good way to look at things. Yeah, so basically based on my cost per mile, I was just like, it's a no-brainer. I can make $1,000 a week with the tractor trailer and not drive versus I'm only making $200 a week with my box truck and I'm not driving. So for me, it was an easy decision. I'm going to get a tractor trailer. I'm done with the box truck, basically. Finding employees, finding drivers for any business is, in my opinion, the hardest part of running any business, whether it's a warehouse, a hair salon, trucking industry, doesn't matter. But for me, at first I reached out to people on Facebook groups because I don't know if you know this, but there's a lot of pretty active Facebook groups with regards to box trucks and CDL drivers, and I was just trying to reach out to people there to find a CDL driver, but I wasn't really getting any. I mean, there are drivers out there looking for jobs, but I think a lot of drivers are really hesitant to leave the big companies and come drive for us because we can't offer the 401k, the healthcare, all the benefits that those big companies can offer. And also just from a driver's perspective, they don't really want to. It's a big risk, right, to come work for us because if our truck breaks down, they're out of a job, basically. We don't have 100 trucks that they could cycle through. So with all that being said, I didn't have any luck finding a driver on my own. And that was the biggest thing that was holding me back from even getting a tractor trailer, because it's easy to find a box truck driver. You can take any kid off the street, and as long as he's got a driver's license and as long as he can pass a DOT medical physical, he can go drive a box truck. But obviously with a CDL tractor, it requires a lot more training, a lot more specialized. So like you said, I got a staffing agency, and they've been really, really quick at finding me a driver. My first driver unfortunately quit after the first 2 months. Nothing against him, nothing against my company. It just wasn't a good fit. He was looking for something more consistent, and I rely on the spot market. So sometimes, you pick up at 4 p.m., sometimes you pick up at 4 a.m. It's not consistent, and it just wasn't what he wanted, which is fine. He was a great driver. He drove me for 2 months, and my staffing agency found him in less than 2 weeks. And as soon as he quit, I told my staffing agency, hey, this guy's done. Can you find me a new driver? So I took my truck to the shop, got an oil change, and 2 days later, they got me another driver. And now I've been running with him for a month. Just keep in mind, though, the type of employee that goes through a staffing agency might be, this is just a generalized statement, but might be somebody who has a difficult time holding down a job. It might be somebody who's transitioning between jobs, or it might be somebody who's just kind of waiting for that next opportunity. So he's just going to do this for a couple weeks and then jump ship and go somewhere else. So just keep that in mind whenever you're working with a staffing agency. They are really quick at finding drivers. Now, whether or not those drivers stick around for a long time, that's a whole nother question. But so far for me, I haven't had an entire week where my truck's been sitting, thanks to the staffing agency. So I have have your email address, so as soon as we're done with this phone call, I will send an email and basically introduce you to the recruiter that I've been working with at the staffing agency. Well, it all depends. I always say this, it depends on how much time you have. So I'm a bookkeeper, and I always tell people, like, bookkeeping is not complicated, it just takes time. And if you're a business owner, do you really want to spend the amount of time it takes to do your bookkeeping, or you can outsource it? Same thing with dispatching. It's not complicated, but it takes time. It might take you 2 hours every single day to dispatch, your box truck. Are you dispatching your truck right now? Okay, so yeah, I don't know how long it takes your dispatcher, but from what I've heard, it takes anywhere from 2 to 4 hours a day to dispatch a box truck, and I think it's about half that amount of time to dispatch a tractor trailer. So maybe 1 hour, maybe 2 hours a day to dispatch a tractor trailer. So if you want to do it, you can. You definitely could. I mean, we're all smart enough to dispatch, but it's all about the time. Like, do you want to devote an hour or 2 hours of your day to dispatching your truck? Especially with you continuing to drive your box truck while you're hiring another driver, you might not be able to, answer those phone calls at 11 a.m. while you're driving your own box truck. So it might be smart. I'm only paying 6%, and my dispatcher gets me decently good loads. Everything's above $3 a mile, more or less. Just be careful, because if you get a tractor, that's very different running power only versus if you get a tractor and a trailer. So if you're getting a tractor trailer, it's super easy to find 53-foot dry van loads. But if you're just getting a tractor and gonna plan on running power only, which that's what I'm doing, and that's what a lot of guys do to get started, because trailers are $40,000. So I'm not so sure that you want to buy a $90,000 tractor and then turn around and spend 40 grand on a trailer. That's a lot of money up front. So I just got the tractor, and I've been doing kind of power only / trailer interchange. So that's a little bit more complicated. So yeah, if you find a dispatcher, make sure he understands trailer interchange and power only and kind of how to work the system. That's a good question. Yeah, the truck market is crazy, obviously, for all trucks right now. Pickup trucks, box trucks, tractor trailers. For me right now, I'll tell you two things. I'll tell you the truck that I bought in February, and then I'll tell you what kind of truck I'm looking for next. So in February, I was basically looking for like the cheapest decent truck around that I could find. So I got a 2016 International ProStar with 550,000 miles and for $65,000. It's a sleeper cab, tandem axle, 73-inch sleeper with a raised roof. It has an APU, which is very important. Make sure your truck has an APU. I think it has a Cummins engine, which is pretty standard nowadays for international trucks. They're definitely away from the Max Force engines, thank goodness, but it's got a Cummins engine. So $65,000, that was a really good deal. And I don't know where you're looking at trucks, but I found a lot of success on truckpaper.com. And then I also had a lot of success just looking at Google Maps and finding local dealerships. So like I always like to try to buy my trucks like locally. Like I don't like the idea of having a truck shipped, 1,000 miles from somewhere else. I like to look at the trucks before I buy them, but that's not always doable. So the next truck I'm looking at getting, I want to get something a little newer with a few less miles. So I was in the 60s for my first truck. I'm probably going to be in the 90s for my second truck. 90,000, 95,000. I want to keep it under 100,000. But I also want to get something newer than 2016, so maybe 2017, 2018, and like less than 450,000 miles. So that's kind of the sweet spot where I'm looking at, and I think 90,000 is pretty standard for what I've seen on truckpaper.com. So yeah, I always recommend buy as new and as good of a truck as you financially can, because as you know, you've been running for a while now, like maintenance is no joke. So you don't want a truck that's going to break down every single week, especially when you're over the road 2,000 miles away from home. Yeah, trailer interchange. So first of all, you have to get trailer interchange insurance. So make sure your insurance company can cover that for you. Basically, it enables you to operate somebody else's trailer. So whether it's one-way trailers or JB Hunt or literally any other broker that has power only loads. So you're gonna pick up a so there's two different ways to do it. Okay, first of all, you can do what's called one-way trailer, and typically, so companies need to move a trailer from one city to another city. So they'll post these trailers, and they'll basically ask you to do it for free. They'll pay you like $100, and you can move a trailer from Atlanta up to Boston, and they'll just say, hey, pick it up on Monday and just make sure it's in Boston by Friday. Do whatever you want with it Monday through Friday, but just make sure it's in Boston by Friday, and they'll pay you $100, basically asking you to do it for free, but with the trade-off, you get to use the trailer for an entire week. That's one way to do it. That's what I think is the more traditional way to do it. The kind of non-traditional way to do it is what we've been doing it, the way we've been doing it, and you can work with other brokers and just like do a power only load with them, and then you basically kind of like end up keeping their trailer, and then you can just kind of run with it for a few days or for several days. Necessarily not the right thing to do ish, kind of, I'm not entirely sure. I've been doing it for 3 months. It's been working out. I basically like run a power only load with a broker on Monday, and then we just kind of like use their trailer, and then we run another power only load with them like on Friday or the next Monday, and then we just basically return the trailer and swap out that way. So there's ways around. So like I only run like one true power only load a week, maybe like one every 10 days, because power only loads pay a lot less. Like power only loads pay like $260, $280 a mile, and like 53-foot van loads pay like $320, $350 a mile. So like you want to try to run as few power only loads as possible, just get that trailer and then just kind of run it like that. And if anything happens to the trailer, the broker will pay for it. So like I was running the trailer and the tire, I had to replace the tire, and we just called the mechanic associated with that broker. They sent out someone to fix it for free, no questions asked, like no problem. They fixed the tire and we continued on. Yeah, I mean, the broker is fully aware that we have their trailer. Like it's, but these brokers, they have thousands of trailers, if not hundreds of thousands. Like I don't know how many trailers they have, but like they can't keep track of every single trailer. So, if it's a couple days late, they don't really know about it. There's 4 things you need to do. And these 4 things are what prevented me from getting a tractor trailer in the beginning, because they scared me, honestly. But after going through the process, it's so incredibly simple. It's not scary at all. It's actually really, really easy. So first of all, you need apportioned plates, and the dealership will help you out with that. And if you buy it from a private seller, then you can just go to your DOT or your DMV, and you'll be able to it's just registering the truck. Like it's just an apportioned plate. I don't know. Are you running apportioned plates right now for your box truck? Okay, yeah. So neither am I with my box truck, but the tractor trailer needs it, and it's so incredibly simple. It's just the way you register the truck. It's just a special plate, and that's so easy. Like someone will help you out with that, either the dealership or the DMV. The second thing you need is heavy vehicle use tax, and that's also incredibly simple. You can do it all online. All you need to know is the VIN number of your truck, and you would just basically pay like $500 a year. It's a special tax for heavy vehicles, heavy vehicle use tax. Very simple. The third thing you need is, like you said, IFTA, International Fuel Tax Agreement, and that is also incredibly simple. It's run at the state level, and once you go to the DMV, once you register your truck as and get the apportioned plate, you'll also open up an IFTA account. And for me, I live in Pennsylvania. I can actually file my IFTA taxes completely online. And all I need to know is the state, how many miles I drove in each state, and how much fuel I pumped in each state. And you can get both of those things from either your ELD or your fuel card. So that's the only information you need to know. It's so easy. Like I was so scared of doing IFTA in the beginning, but like it's seriously so easy. You do it every 3 months, and you just file. You don't even need to know the details behind it. You just need to know miles and gallons. Like that's it. And then the fourth thing is the clearinghouse, the consortium, the drug testing. And if you use a staffing agency, they'll handle all of that for you. Or you can use a DOT compliance agency. Like I've heard of Foley. I haven't really heard of too many other companies, but you can also outsource that, and they'll handle it for you for like a couple $100 a year per driver. So those are the 4 big differences between a box truck and a tractor trailer. And they're so easy, like nothing to be afraid of. I already have a dispatcher. So like I literally just bought the truck. My staffing agency got me a driver, and I put the driver in the truck, had him sign a couple documents, and he was out the door. Like my dispatcher is just managing him on a daily basis. My staffing agency pays him, and he uses my fuel cards, and I factor the loads through my factoring company. Like it's a very simple process. The only caveat is it's incredibly difficult to get financing for a CDL truck. Have you tried? Have you done it? Box trucks are easy. They're different because from a risk perspective, you don't have your CDL. I don't have my CDL. So if everything fails and the driver quits, like we're not able to drive that truck and produce revenue. So from a risk perspective, at least this was my experience. Your experience might be different, but from a risk perspective, people did not want to loan me the money to buy a tractor because I don't have my CDL and my business is less than 2 years old. So I literally was not able to get a loan for this CDL tractor. So I hope you had better luck than I did.